When I arrived in 2018, there were a lot of people, parents, Mrs. Murphy was one of the teachers, who expressed great interest in trying to get a playground project off the ground. It was something that had come up in years past, excuse me, had never been properly realized in the sense that, being able to drum up resources and drum up, enough people to put in the work that it takes to spearhead a playground project. And so it's something I've done before. In my very first school at Lonsdale Elementary, we spearheaded a project and we got it off the ground and we did it. So it was I was willing to put the work in without a doubt. The teachers are, they're used to this. They're used to having grass, having concrete. The PTG is used to purchasing hula hoops and purchasing balls and purchasing chalk and all of those things, but I think our kids deserve better. I know Mrs. Murphy agrees with me. I know Bridget agrees with me. So it was absolutely something that I was willing to put the work in for, and with a very dedicated and passionate group of parents, we got the work started back in 2018-19. That continued into the school year 2019-20, and then when COVID hit, it really stifled our efforts.
Some kids are not as creative as other children, so they struggle with the large group that's out at the playground, even though it's just kindergarten and first grade at this current time, and they just don't know what to do. So, I've been going to principal after principal and saying, could we have a playground? Could we have a playground? And Janine said yes.
Yes.
So we're getting a playground.
I had recess duty. There was a little boy who was dealing with a conflict, and he was like, I don't want to play with them, but I don't know what else to do. I don't want to play in the organized game of kickball. I don't want to just, he's like, I want to do something, but there's nothing for me to do. And I was like, oh, well, if we had a playground, he could, because he was dealing with a conflict. He didn't want to play with anyone. He just wanted some alone time. If we had a playground, he could just take some time on the play structure, take a little break away from other people.
Bringing it back at some of the PTA meetings, and we learned that fundraising had already started a few years ago, so we decided we were going to try and kick it back up and try and start doing some more fundraising and get it back up and going, and we started getting some traction.
When I brought my son down to the playground, I'm like, oh, this is going to be your school, and he was like, oh, where's the playground? And he was like super upset, like crying, and I was like, well, you know what, when you start going here next year, I'm going to see what I can do to try and get figure out why there isn't a playground, if we can get a playground. So it's kind of been my mission for him since he's started.
So you basically said challenge
Yeah,
accepted.
challenge accepted, yeah.
And Marissa, pretty much the same?
Similar story, yeah. My daughter, when we came to kindergarten orientation, was all excited to come and see the grounds and see the playground. And when she realized there was no playground, she was devastated. She's got cousins in neighboring schools in North Attleboro, and they had hyped it up that you get to go to recess and play on the playground and do all these fun things with their friends. So she was devastated, and we decided to take on the challenge.
We really have three sort of buckets of funding sources that we're potentially looking at here. One being the fundraising, two being the capital budget proposal that I put through in my budget, and the third being Adam Scanlon's ask at the state level. There's actually a fourth I should mention, and that is the district, is anticipating a surplus for the building of the AMVET playground. And that surplus will be allocated to the Roosevelt playground. So we have a very, very good chance of watching this project materialize with those buckets that I just described.